Hello there, and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm actually doing a video today. It was one of my subscribers, Jason Case, actually requested I do a video on my most underrated comic characters. He mentioned a couple of comic characters in there that he wanted me to talk about. The Ghost Rider, who I think is a great comic character, but I don't know too much about, and a couple of Spider-Man enemies, Shocker and Morlon, who I really don't know anything about because I don't read that much Spider-Man. But I will talk about my most underrated and also, as a bonus, my most overrated comic characters. My next videos that I plan to do are on New 52 Wonder Woman, if you're interested, as well as actresses who might be able to play Wonder Woman. And I also wanted to do my very next video, which is going to be on something I wanted to broaden out a bit and talk about things that I'm actually interested in rather than just comic characters, which are, obviously I'm very interested in, but there is more to the world. And yeah, so the next video is going to be on Jim Carrey's latest stance towards the Kick-Ass movie 2, in terms of the shootings at Sandy Hook. We call it primary school, but I think it's elementary school in the States. So basically about film and violence and how that kind of affects society. And I just wanted, I have a deep respect for Jim Carrey and his position, but I wanted to kind of talk about it and see and just see what all you guys thought about that situation, because it's a very interesting one, and one that's very relevant, I think, to now. But anyway, on to my most underrated characters. So I'm going to first talk about this character, Hitman. A very, very interesting comic from the 90s. I mean, the 90s is basically when I mostly got into comics, and the Hitman was he was basically a creation of Garth Ennis and John McCrea. Garth Ennis being the writer, who also did The Boys, which I might talk about during this, but they're another characters that are underrated and I think would be great as kind of movies, actually. But Johnny Monaghan, who is the titular hero of this comic, is basically a hitman who gains superpowers by it's a very weird story, by a vampire, an alien vampire biting him. He gains superpowers, and he gains the power to read people's thoughts and also to have X-ray vision. That added to his incredible skills as a marksman mean he is incredibly deadly. He operates out of Gotham City, and constantly is taking up contracts only to kill bad guys, i.e. gangsters, or supervillains, and all of these kind of characters. I think he puts it quite eloquently somewhere here. Well, anyway, he starts off the comic saying, "My name is Tommy Monaghan and I kill people for money. It's a living," which is a great start off to the comic. You have this kind of image here of him saying that. Just right now, though, I ain't getting a red cent for these idiots, sorry, forget this bit. But in any case, sorry, the Hitman was a great comic from the 90s, as I said, and I've always thought it was kind of like a Quentin Tarantino meets the superhero genre. There was a lot of weird and wonderful villains that he had. He had a villain that was so excellent. They were called the Lords of the Gun, and Mauser was their servant. And he was, this is actually Mauser, if you can see him. He's got the one with the gun to his face. Mauser was a demon who was made up of several Nazi SS members, and in the first he was made up of 7 Nazi SS members, and their souls were fused together, and they came to become this weird vampire looking character with he had like 6 arms and several guns, and he was a perfect foil for Johnny Monaghan, who was you know, it was just please read the comic. It's great. I don't know if I can do it justice, but in any case, they made great foils for each other, and there were a number of other colourful characters involved. There was my favourite was a gangster that Tommy Monaghan had a hit on, and basically he was a Siamese twin, and Johnny Monaghan was hired to shoot basically one of them and not the other. So this one Siamese twin is left with a dead body hanging to him all the time, which was very fun. But he was one of the characters that I think is underrated. There is also The Boys by Garth Ennis, again, which is one of my favorite comics. Especially the first couple of volumes were really great. Where the CIA puts together a task force to take on meta-humans who are out of control, and there's lots of kind of winks towards characters like Superman and Batman and stuff like that, who are just completely out of control. You know, these superheroes are celebrities in their universe, and therefore act like some of our celebrities in the real world, and are very uncautious in terms of the way they treat civilians, and etc. Would be a really good film, actually, funnily enough, I think, after The Man of Steel, to do The Boys, because one of the main villains was in The Boys was a Superman-esque kind of character, who was just very dastardly and didn't really give a shit. But his image was very clean cut, but in his personal life he was a bit of a knob, but a great character nonetheless. Then another series I used to read quite frequently during the 90s was Generation X. I don't know if you guys ever read that, but I used to love that comic. I thought that I thought really, after, for me, what was the failure of the X-Men movies, I thought it would be really good to do a Generation X, at least an animated series, because the first couple of like few volumes of Generation X is really good stuff. It has Jubilee as one of the main characters in it, and they're being taught by the team of mutants is being taught by Banshee and the White Queen, and it had some of the coolest X-Men powers, and it was really cool in terms of reading it as a teenager, because it was all teenage kind of characters dealing with their mutant powers, but the mutant powers being a kind of metaphor for something else. And it had some really cool female characters in terms of their powers as well, which I really appreciated. And again, I just thought it would make a really strong contrast to the X-Men in the movie world or in the cartoon world, as it may be, if they ever choose to go down that route again. I don't know what happened. I think the main writer of it was taken off, and then as soon as the main writer was taken off, you noticed as a fan. I noticed immediately. I was just like, this isn't as cool anymore. And then I think it just faded out in the 90s. But it had, you know, like some really, really cool mutants like Sync and M. Sync could sync his powers with anybody who was near to him. M was this super intelligent, super strong, like just this perfect girl. I think she was maybe a bit of a piss take of Wonder Woman, but she was a black character as well, which was really cool to have like a layered kind of black character, a female character in a comic. So that was very cool. Some more underrated characters. Now, I don't know exactly what, Jason Case meant by underrated characters, so it's kind of hard for me to actually say, but I would put Ares and most of Wonder Woman's villains as underrated characters. I really, I've done another video on this of Wonder Woman, and I absolutely love some of her villains, but I especially think that Ares has a lot of potential. I don't know why he isn't used as Wonder Woman's main foil, because they've got a great synergy together. Now, I wouldn't say Wonder Woman is necessarily underrated, but certainly is going through tough times, so I wouldn't add her to this list, because I think a lot of people do rate her a lot, and there's a big kind of thing about like getting a Wonder Woman film out, and there's a lot more support than I think any other DC character to get Wonder Woman out. But you know, as for Ares, I just think he's such a cool... He reminds me of a kind of Bond villain. Here's a image of the kind of Greg Rucka, Gail Simone era of Ares, the blonde guy. So he can get his the normal costume of like the kind of Roman style general costume that he wears, but he often just walked around as this kind of blonde, fairly suave looking guy, and was very, very clever as well. He just had there was a lot of layers to the character. He wasn't just a simple straight out bad guy, and he had this way of kind of scheming against Wonder Woman on the long term and causing her all these conflicts. But the one thing that really didn't happen to kind of cement how great he was is there hasn't been a real like proper smackdown between Wonder Woman and Ares since Perez, apart from the 2009 animated feature, and I think that really needs to happen to showcase his power set. You know, and the great thing is he's both stronger and weaker than Wonder Woman, depending on, you know, how much war and conflict he's able to generate. So there's another underrated character. Who else? Is there any other underrated characters I can think of in comic books? I really like the Riddler. I don't know if he's underrated. Again, it's not so much underrated as underused. I think people know the Riddler's cool, but I think DC just have a habit of going back to, you know, they go back to their crutches, which is really annoying, because they've got this great list of characters. But the Riddler is, like, I am not in any way excited, like, as somebody who writes, I have no interest in writing a Batman story, really. I write like fan fiction of these comic characters, and for me, Batman kind of least interests me. But if I were to write a Batman kind of story, the one thing that would give me an in, a way that I would be like, be I would feel a bit compelled to kind of try and tackle him would definitely be the Riddler. I just see him as someone who could be very, very dangerous, you know, as a villain to Batman, and on the same level as the Joker, but kind of different. This kind of psychopathic and narcissistic egomaniac and genius, who, you know, is compelled almost like a serial killer to, you know, like it harks back to those kind of images that you have throughout the 20th century of some of the most notorious serial killers, of, you know, writing into the local police departments, you know, like the Son of Sam, or the one that was never caught. I can't remember his name now. I can't remember the name of this serial killer, but he was one that was a very famous one that was never caught, or Jack the Ripper even, where they send in letters, you know, giving like almost clues to who they are, but, you know, leaving it as a really enigmatic riddle. And for me, you know, that is the image I have in my head of the Riddler, and I'd love a kind of very realistic, gritty take on that character. I think Jeff Johns might be heading in that direction with Batman Earth 1 Part 2, which I'm very, very excited for. I can't wait for that to come out. But yeah, those are a few characters that I think are very underrated. My last one actually would be Shazam. Again, not underrated, underused, undervalued, and again, Jeff Johns is doing a great job of working with that character, and I think he's really kind of modernized it. I think he's gone a bit too dark for my liking. In terms of Billy Batson, I think Billy Batson should be a tad bit more heroic. But I like the direction he's taken. I would that is one character I really want to kind of eventually write about myself. So all depends. I mean, yeah. But he's certainly a character I'd be interested in utilizing, because I like the idea of this kid who suddenly can become an adult with great powers, because there's that kind of sense of immediate wonderment. That is what comics essentially are, because they started off as this medium for kids. So it brings out the inner child in you, you know, like the sense of kind of wonder that comics are supposed to inspire. And you know, Billy Batson is all of that, and he has a great story in terms of him being this kind of orphan kid who, you know, comes from the wrong side of the tracks, but just has a heart of gold and is ultimately quite heroic. So I like what Jeff Johns has done, but I would have just taken it a bit like lighter, because he seems a bit too much of a brat to me in his latest version. But he has these good points, but it's not emphasized enough. Just how, you know, naturally good the character is. So yeah, that's my answer. I hope that's what you wanted, Jason Case. Please like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video, and you know, anybody who has any other requests for a video, please let me know. Thank you.